Okay.
Guys, there's a conversation we gotta have as a people to discuss what's happening on the Zimhiphop scene because there is an unfairness and unjustness that I've noticed, bro. Like, for example, have you ever noticed how a rising Zimhiphop artist, right, who raps in English, for example, is gonna really struggle to make an impact or splash on the scene, which is why most Zim artists actually started off making English music and converted to making Shona music.
Take one step on that rope and I'll cut it.
Because I asked myself a long time, why is there no Zim artists who make English music like Brother Cooper? If you know Brother Cooper, he makes English music for a global fan base, right? And because of that, even Nasty C, right? Tyler, these are the people who were able to break out to a global fan base. I know a lot of people who jam these people. Usimane as well. You know, the list is endless of artists in South Africa who are singing in English, right? But then, yeah, you could say South Africa has one major advantage. There's 64 million people in South Africa compared to Zimbabwe's 16 million, which already puts us at a disadvantage when it comes to comparatism. But the way I see it still, right, we should be able to support an artist regardless of the type of music he's making, regardless. Because a lot of the people who are like, I won't jam an English artist in Zimbabwe, I won't jam their music.
We don't do that here.
Because they ain't rapping in Shona. Are going to be listening to Drake, are going to be listening to Playboy Carti, you know, and all these other artists from the States, you know, Lil Wayne. But then when someone in Zim starts making that type of music, it's like we don't want to support that artist because we feel like it's not our culture. We feel like he's trying to be, you know, exotic, too exotic. We feel like he's feeling himself, right? But he is trying to break out in the way that the biggest artists from, you know, South have broken out. Even Burna Boy, really, yeah, he makes his music really making English lyrics sometimes, but he's not the best example. But there's many examples of artists who had to utilize being able to speak to a global fan base, and that just doesn't happen in Zimbabwe. You know, there's not one artist who you could mention right now, not one, but there's so many from South. How does that make sense? There's not one. There's not one person, and it's crazy, right?
I mean, it's all right. Like, and you know what though? That's typically how the bullshit goes.
Because South people do it so effortlessly. You got A Reese, Casper in Your Vest, Nasty C, Brother Cooper. All these people were able to effortlessly rap in English and create these big fan bases. But in Zim, most times than not, people start off rapping in English. Even Holy 10 started off making his music in English before shifting to making Shona music. Voltz JT started off making his music in English before Shona music. Young Gemini started off with English music. She had whole albums in English music before she switched off and went to, you know, Shona. What's her name? Kiki Badass. She was making English songs, singing R&B, like real R&B, right? But you know, she said in an interview that she had a lot of pressure from her friends saying, yo, why are you making this type of music? Hausimurungu, you know, you're not a white person, you know, you gotta make Zim dance, or find out like you're supposed to make music for the people, you know. And then she listened to her peers and then she shifted, right? But she had such a beautiful voice and she was almost born for R&B to a point, but she can just, you know, she's a chameleon. She can do whatever genre she wants and still just, you know, excel at it, right? But still, we need to be able to support these artists who are making English music in Zimbabwe and not just look at them like they're trying too much. You know, you're not trying too much for trying to make music in the best ability you can, because I do the same thing. I'm a rapper as well and I make English music, but I know there's this unjustness and unfairness, and I know if you put in the effort you can make these changes, and that's what I'm planning to do. We need artists in Zim to really be able to support another artist making English music, to really try to reach that global state. Because the reason why we always look at these artists like, oh, it's so weird, right, is because there's not too many artists at the top who are leading the youth, you could say, by showing us this possible, you know. There's not too many artists. Young Gemini tried this recently and she made this English song that got over like 700,000, I think it's at 1 million right now, views. And it's crazy, you know, because it is possible to make an English song and just have it pop off, you know, and make a fan base, but we just don't support. So please do, just try. Don't be quick to judge someone for making that type of music, even if it's not the type of music you like. At least leave a like, Wangu, you know, it's not gonna be that hard. Just leave a like, you know, drop a comment, say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing, you know, keep up with it. He doesn't have to help you, because one person's success won't take away from yours, you know. So yeah, I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe.